We are back at it. The schedule not only has returned, we'll be getting chapters weekly again, and knowing Tabata, unless the magazine is on break, we will have Black Clover every week possible. Now, even better than that, we're getting an earlier release, so it's going to be 5 hours earlier over, on the Viz app than just the manga itself. I think that alone is going to be really exciting. And what's funny is I got them like in the early afternoon, but for me on my channel, doing 5, now 6, because I'm going to follow that new series. It took a good chunk, and by the time it was over, it was already early afternoon. Like, it usually would take 2, maybe 2.5 hours. Good chunk of the day. But now it's going to be much easier. I'll just wake up earlier on Sunday, get to it, and by the time I'm done, close to lunchtime. Anyway. So, this chapter of Black Clover. Now, I still think that things aren't going to go amazingly for Yuno, and I did predict, I did a video a couple days ago, that he was going to have a big loss up and coming. Now, during that, I talked about the Dark Disciples. I talked about these guys, and we got a name for this guy, Godaroy's, I think is how his name is pronounced, and it looks like he is, it looks like he's down. Not 100%, I mean, he's more than likely dead. But there's the possibility that he, could get up in the next chapter with, like, demon stone magic. Because we know that there is a demonic upgraded version of elements and attributes. Just like how there is a, the true version that we saw. We've seen with, like, Gaja and Radis. Then with, like, Patri, the demon version of whatever they get. We don't know what percentage it has to be in order to get a demon boosted version. But maybe 40% is enough. Don't know. Anyway, the chapter starts out. You see back when Asta and Yuno kind of talked about how they didn't really have any blood family, but they treated the people that they were close to like family. They're like, whatever squad we get into, we're going to treat the best like family. Our brigades will, even though they're the same as the church, they will be family to us nonetheless. And we've seen that a lot from Asta's perspective, but we haven't seen a whole lot from Yuno's perspective. And the people within the Golden Dawn seem to really like Yuno. They apologized to him for being rude to him because he was a peasant. I like that we're seeing that not from just Asta proving to, people that just because he's a peasant doesn't mean he's weak. And so we're seeing it from Yuno as well. And here you got all these people talking about how impressive he is. In 18 months, he's become vice captain. Makes me wonder where Langris is. And they even say that Yuno started to smile more. And that is important because I've talked about the difference between Asta's journey and Yuno's, and on a character's perspective, not like, strength-wise or their path to become, Wizard King, Magic Emperor, whatever. When it comes to Asta is very loud, he's energetic, he's outgoing, he's friendly, and since the beginning of the story, he's kind of become more mature, more aware of reality, and he's taken, like, the grasp on the severity of situations, more like when we saw when he, raided that Spade Fortress. Whereas with Yuno is calm. He is, he seems very closed off from other people. He's just very emotionally stable. And we've seen throughout the story parts where, he breaks out of that and he becomes way more kind of like determined. We saw back when he fought Rill and he was actually really happy to, just fight and go all out. I mean, other than Asta, we never really saw him kind of like break away from that just calm, dead, emotionless personality nearly. And now we're starting to kind of, see more of it, and the fact that all his comrades in the Golden Dawn have, getting really mauled here. I mean, half of the ones that were there are dead, the other half are, near dead, so he's pretty pissed off. Dropped Spirit Storm on Godaroy's, and one thing I really want to go over just really quick is people acted like Yuno just like ran through this dude like it was nothing to him, and we know is obviously very powerful. He's very talented. He's got a 4-leaf Clover Grimoire. He's got the Great Wind Spirit. It's not like he's some pushover. And whereas Asta is very much, he's got a very, very odd magic, odd power, anti-magic, and his hard work, determination. Also the fact that a lot of people underestimate him because he has no magic, which is understandable from the way that wizards in Black Clover work. Yuno's obviously, his is straight, his talent. He's got a, very, very useful powers that are straightforward and not like a wild card like anti-magic. So this was in no way an easy win for him. I mean, he had to start out in Spirit Dive, which, as far as we know, this is, his most upped version that he can go to at will. We don't know if he can just pop that, much more upgraded form. It kind of, I'm just like looking at it, and it kind of makes me think it because of the way that like the wing has those little pieces on it. But I can't 100% remember if it's got those normally. But the crown doesn't look as big, regardless of which, this is, as we can guess, strongest. Because not only that, he's got Spirit of Zephyr out. He breaks it out, and he's talking to this dude who's just, he's the, he likes to be a bad guy. He likes to kill. He likes battle kind of dude. And he's not one of those ones where it's like Grimjow, Grimjow Jaggerjack, where he's gonna be like that, but treated well, like Kenpachi. Now, sometimes the characters get that, but I think it's the easiest to put up just to be a, kill-off guy. That, actually, the only one I think would be worse is just, like, base scum guy. Some murderous, like, okay with killing kids, massive, like, war crimes kind of guy. Doesn't really matter. They don't care. They'll do anything they feel like, no matter, like, the heinous level of the crime. That's probably the worst one. And, you can throw those away, or you can, maybe in a darker series where those kind of characters thrive. But breaks out Spirit of Zephyr, and he's really just pushing everything he can. The one thing I wanted to note is, like, looking at when he's got his Spirit of Zephyr clash with Godoroy's big rock armor, because he's talking about, like, it because it's been buffed by, devil powers, it's stronger than, like, iron and steel. Get clashed on, and on the page that it looks like it, near the end, that this whole spread is on, it looks like the sword is vibrating, and I would understand, start it real quick. I would kind of like deduce that like the way that he cut it is it kind of becomes like a chainsaw, and it's just constantly vibrating, constantly hitting, and because it's wind, it's not it's not steel. The way that it kind of courses is going to keep going back and forth, and just eroding it that way, because he even says that he's eroding the rock itself, and then cuts through Godoroy's. Like, that's the thing that I'm like, even though I kind of like, well, maybe he'll get up with like a demon stone buff, it looks like he was cut in half, so it's probably not. It's either, the only way it could not be, it's like, oh, maybe that's not blood, maybe that's like the demonic kind of power that's on him or something. Who knows? Maybe not. I mean, he's more than likely dead. But I do want to say, if the sword was able to do that because of, like I said, it was vibrating, that's only going to further back my theory that it's not a sword, and he's using it as a sword, but it's primarily, its primary use when he gets it to its full point is an arrow. And again, if you haven't watched the video where I kind of described it a little bit, it's the way that Yuno's Spirit of Zephyr was first obtained is very similar to that of Oriyu Ishida's Sele Schneider from Bleach. If you ever read or watched Bleach, you know what I mean, when he used against, oh my god, what is her name? Security Thunder Witch, when she had her big Ryatsu like tail blade, and he would use his Sele Schneider, and it just looks like a handle with like a blue blade coming out, a blue energy blade. And it essentially does the same thing. It's vibrating at a super fast rate. I think it's like, 1 point something million times a minute. Might have been a second, I don't know. Something super fast. It's vibrating super fast back and forth. And it wasn't actually a sword. The way that it's described as well as it can kind of like absorb loose Ryatsu in the air, and we know that Spirit of Zephyr, the way that at least we first got it, the way that kind of forged it, was he used all of the excess mana that was used from character spells in the air during the fight with the Word Devil. And with Sele Schneider, though it looked like a sword, it ended up being an arrow. And obviously, if you look at the shape of it too, it kind of looks like an arrow. Obviously, it's just a really thin sword, but maybe like the wings on it might be a sign, the way arrows have them. And I think it would fit Yuno's style more, because even though he could be using a sword, he's primarily a ranged character, because, as we've seen in Asta's close combat primarily, Yuno is ranged. They have a very opposite-ended kind of moveset. You got close combat ranged, Asta left-handed, right-handed, Asta's right-handed, Yuno's left-handed. Asta's very loud and energetic, Yuno's very calm and just emotionally still. I don't know. I still think that, and as far as we know, it's just a sword right now, but I still have my theories that it's going to end up being an arrow. But here's the thing that I really want to talk about the chapter itself. One, it was really cool to see Yuno get his own chapter. It's been a while since we just got a straight Yuno chapter. I really like the development for his character. The thing that annoys me is a lot of people will be like, oh, he's, what development, blah, blah, blah. Like, Yuno's just some boring one-trick guy. No, the difference between, like, something easy to compare, My Hero Academia and Black Clover, they're pretty adjacent. They're very close in release. The fandoms are always back and forth. The authors are friends. It's easy to compare them. And when you have, like, Deku and Baku, it's very easy to see areas where they've developed because their story is going to be seemingly much shorter, and part of their stories, like Deku, you could drastically see like how much he's changed because that was what he was going for. He wanted to change to become a hero. Austin Yuno's not the same. Their development is in chunks, and it's looking like it's going to be stretched over a longer story because Tabata said that he's perfectly capable of going the length of like Naruto and One Piece. So, and it definitely seems that way with the whole Elf Resurrection being over 200 chapters. Assuming the Spade is going to be, the Spade War is going to be around that same length. We'll get out of this at 400 plus chapters, and then who knows what's after that? Other continents, other dimensions. But it's done over a much longer span of time. Like, again, the fact that Yuno is starting to really connect with other people, not just Asta. He's starting to talk and be friendly with somebody outside of his family, which is important for him. But I enjoyed that a lot, and I think people need to at least understand. It's like, it's not that Yuno has no development. It's that his development, similar to Asta's, is going at a slower rate because there's this more of how, they get pieces and just each piece is going to stack up over the course of, each arc. Each experience and journey is going to add something more to them and mature them along the way. It's going to be much better to look at in the long run because you're going to be seeing it at a much more follow along rate than just big chunks, which again, it's fine. And if that's the intention, but you got to understand that that's not the intention for Austin Yuno. But anyway, so in the video I talked about, because I do have to, stand my ground on that, because I still theorize that Yuno will lose. I think, well, I want to say primarily the Golden Dawn, but Yuno as well for association, because he did beat one of the Dark Disciples, assuming he beat him. There's another one, so I had to mention that. It's like, if he beats one, it doesn't change the fact that there is another one there. Yuno had to go all out. He had to use, as far as we know, his biggest, combo, Spirit of Zephyr and Spirit Dive. And even if he somehow beats the other guy, Zeno is still present, because I believe, I'm just guessing, maybe it'll be like Yuno manages to just barely beat them, and then it'll be like, hooray, he did it, we overcame, and then it's pandered over to, focus on William. William just defeated and utterly dominated by Zeno. I'm hoping when it comes to the Dark Disciples and the Spade in general, because like foot soldiers, the captains, the 5% demonic power guys, the foot soldiers and whatnot, I have no expectations for them. I mean, and really, when it comes to something like throwaway characters like that, I exist for numbers. We're literally just some Dynasty Warriors characters that we're going to be rushing out, and you're going to defeat us in hordes. We don't even get a name. Characters like that, whatever. I am hoping for some, there being some good Dark Disciples. I don't expect there to be, 50 of them or every Dark Disciple to be amazing. As long as we get some good ones, I'll be fine. It doesn't have to be this dude. It doesn't have to be the other dude with Zeno, the longer-haired guy. But I am hoping that we at least get some Dark Disciples. I did like the, I like the idea, you get one of these just like Blood Knight kind of like crazy, I'm a bad guy, I like to kill and be a monster kind of guy like Godoroy's, but doesn't have to be. Those characters can be fun, but from what I've experienced, especially when it comes to shonen, those are the easiest ones to expend. They're the easiest ones to set up to get knocked down. So we'll see in the future. Out of this whole instance, I still think that even if Yuno ends up defeating the other Dark Disciple, I don't see any way that he can beat Zeno. It wouldn't make sense to have one of the Dark Triad fall this early, especially when it was their first time stepping into the Clover to do things. I think that needs to really be noted. I don't think it would make any sense to really have, because this whole thing, when you have this guy, this is the hype part. This is when you're going to have one of the big bad guys flex what they're capable of and really just display, this is why we're a threat. It would be really strange to have Xeno be pushed at all at this point. And if it really took only like a captain and a vice captain to beat him, then the Dark Triad and the Spade Kingdom really wouldn't be a threat at all. So I still predicted, even if Yuno ends up beating the other Dark Disciple, that there's no way that they'll stop Xeno. He's going to take William and leave. We're going to have to wait. I mean, luckily, though, like I said, next chapter, we're back at regular schedule and with 5 hours earlier than before. Like, pretty much for me, I woke up, chapters were out, read them, got out of bed, and then, got ready for the morning, started recording this. I hadn't even breakfast yet. I'll make breakfast after this. But anyway, yeah, comment below. Tell me your thoughts are about this chapter. Tell me exactly what your thoughts are about, I want to know, do you think that this dude Godoroy's is dead? Like, again, maybe he's going to pop a, Demon Stone magic. I mean, he's more than likely dead, but who knows? What do you think the other Dark Disciple is going to be like? And what do you think, like, the status of Xeno is? But anyway, comment below. Tell me your thoughts about this chapter. I'd really appreciate if you thumbs up the video, but friend the like button and subscribe button, and check out my other videos. And I appreciate everyone who's already subscribed. And I thank you all for listening. Bye.